I'd like to call this joint meeting of the Recreation and Education and Ways and Means Committees to order. The purpose of this joint meeting this evening is to hold a public hearing on the 2017-2018 operating budget for the Monroe Community College. We will then proceed with agenda items that have been assigned to both Recreation and Education and the Ways and Means. When the Recreation and Education Committee's items are finished, that committee will adjourn, and then we will complete the remainder of the Ways and Means Committee agenda.
Will the clerk please call the roll for Recreation and Education Committee?
Mr. Elkoffer? Here. Mr. Felder? Here. Mr. Flagler-Mitchell is excused. Mr. Marionetti? Here. Chairman Terp?
Here.
Will the clerk please call the roll for the Ways and Means Committee?
Mr. Ansello? Here. Mr. Baroth? Here. Dr. Carbone? Here. Mr. Delahanty? Here. Chairwoman Draw?
Here.
Mr. Felder?
Here.
Mr. Hebert?
Here.
Ms. Cayley? Here. Mr. Marionetti?
Here.
Mr. Morelli?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here.
Would Legislator Morelli please join us, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will have a presentation by Dr. Ann Kress, President of Monroe Community College. Dr. Kress, please come on up.
Good evening. Tonight, I'll have the honor of presenting Monroe Community College's 2017-2018 budget to you on behalf of the County Legislature. This year is special to all of us. In just over a month, the first classes will begin at our new downtown campus. This inspiring learning facility has been made possible by the county's significant investment in MCC and, more importantly, in our students. That is, it was made possible because of you. At our new downtown campus, residents will connect to high-demand careers and training in classes in the Economic Development and Workforce Center. Future scientists and doctors and nurses and researchers will complete chemistry and biology experiments in our state-of-the-art labs. The next generation of teachers and social workers and paralegals and criminal justice professionals will learn in technology-rich classrooms. Students who might be the first in their family to graduate from high school will be able to dream about completing baccalaureate degrees through the complete array of MCC's 2+2 programs. Adults returning to college will find support in the high-tech tutoring rooms in our learning commons. And future community leaders will build their communication skills, their teamwork skills, their leadership skills in one of our new collaboratories or through expanded student life programming. Our new downtown campus will transform the lives of our students, and it's already transforming the neighborhood. MCC's partner with our new neighbors at North American Brewing has helped to grow NAB's workforce, support their commitment to High Falls, and fund scholarships for our students. Our extraordinary new downtown campus exists today because County Executive DeNofo and all of you have supported MCC. You understand that the success of our community's college means the success of our community. Thank you. We know that the county's continued investment in MCC requires that we have a continued commitment to fiscal responsibility and accountability. The budget that I will present to you this year, which seeks flat funding from Monroe County, is grounded in this commitment. MCC's $122.9 million proposed budget reflects a $3.8 million year-on-year decrease as we continue to align staffing to enrollment and contain costs, all while maintaining our commitment to educational quality. We've been able to enhance and expand academic programming and services in high-demand areas such as career and technical education and student financial services through strategic resource reallocation and development. For example, the recently announced expansion of MCC's automotive technology and optics programs show how the college has been able to leverage external funding and internal reallocation to grow high-demand but high-cost programs. Thanks to a grant from New York State and philanthropic donations from Rochester area automotive dealers and service centers, along with the reconfiguration of existing space at the Applied Technology Center, MCC will be able to add a third bay to the automotive technology program, meeting an increased demand for certified techs. And with a $500,000 grant from the National Science Foundation, MCC will be able to increase the participation of underrepresented students in our optics program, the country's longest-running such program. Both examples, along with so many others, illustrate how our college is continuing to support and expand quality educational programs in a time of constrained resources. In fact, year on year, MCC's budget has been reduced by 3%, even while the cost of contractually negotiated benefits has increased. MCC's management of costs and budget shows our sense of accountability to those who fund us, local taxpayers, state and county government, and our students. MCC takes seriously the investment we ask students to make in their education. In return for their tuition dollars, students receive a high-quality higher education from one of the country's top community colleges right here in their own backyard. MCC is among the top 3% of community colleges in the country in awarding associate's degrees. Our 2015 graduates transferred to 162 different colleges as they worked to complete their bachelor's degrees. And graduates starting new careers were hired by 621 different employers. An independent economic impact study recently found that the average graduate receives a return of 4.4 on $1 on their MCC education. Our learning environments support the quality of our talented faculty and cutting-edge programs. This past year, we cut the ribbon on our renovated theater, the awe-inspiring redesign that was just awarded a design citation by the New York State chapter of the American Institute of Architects. That's a theater that's right on our campus for our students. That design was selected from over 300 submissions. Because of Monroe County's support, our facilities match and even exceed those on SUNY four-year campuses. We feel confident in the value that we provide students, but we are also mindful that their investment in MCC must remain within their reach. Our proposed budget includes a tuition increase to $4,280 for a full-time student for a full year. The tuition increase has been supported by our student government and by our governing board of trustees. But in their support, they also recognize that our students are being asked to fill a gap left by a lack of state funding, and this is not going to be able to continue. It is important to understand that even with the proposed increase of $180 for a full-time student for a full year, MCC will have one of the lowest tuition rates among the SUNY community colleges. Our average student will be able to, for our average student, non-loan financial aid awards from Pell Grants and New York State's Tuition Assistance Program will not just cover, but actually exceed all direct costs of instruction. That includes tuition, but also fees and books, putting MCC well within reach. We understand that tuition is just one aspect of college costs, and MCC is committed to increasing college affordability across the board. This is one reason why almost half of our graduates leave MCC with no student debt whatsoever. Last year, we again awarded over $1.3 million in scholarships, thanks to the MCC Foundation, and we supported students who are facing financial emergencies with the Dream Keepers microgrants and single-stop services. In just the past 2 years, we have saved students over $700,000 in textbook costs through faculty creation of and college adoption of open educational resources. We're also committed to helping students and their families plan for the cost of higher education with the new MCC guarantee, which will lock in tuition rates for qualifying full-time students for 2 years. This is a first for a SUNY community college. And we've seen over 800 families apply for the state's new Excelsior Scholarship. that begins this fall. A certificate or degree from MCC provides students with a passport to future success. Over the past decade, there's been a strengthening connection between an education at MCC and employment in our region. Over 90% of the 2015 graduates in career and technical education programs found their full-time employment right here in our community. These grads may have been in healthcare. They may have been among the 100% of our dental hygiene students who achieved passing rates on their licensure exams. They may have been among the first class in our surgical technology program who went from paid internships in the program to paid employment immediately upon graduation. These grads may have been in applied technologies like heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, or welding, with multiple offers for high-paying jobs, some within programs that last only 4 months. Or they may have been in industry sectors central to our region's economic growth, like hospitality, or optics, or agriculture and food processing. MCC's capacity and responsiveness in workforce education have made us a national model in private-public partnerships. We were at the table from the very beginning with Monroe County in their discussions with Clearwater Organics, designing training specific to that company's needs to help Monroe County recruit them here. And we have partnered with Imagine Monroe on a new program to train service veterans, dislocated workers, and disconnected youth through the new Ladders Up program. MCC builds pathways to career success from high school all the way through adulthood in collaborations with school districts and community-based organizations across our county. This work is central to our mission. On behalf of MCC, I thank each of you and the taxpayers that you represent for your continued commitment to our shared college and that mission. MCC's quality and effectiveness can be traced back to decades of smart investment by the county legislature. Your belief in and support of our mission since 1961 has helped us serve over 500,000 students whose experience at MCC has been transformational, personally and professionally. This fall, we look forward to welcoming another over 13,000 students to MCC, to our Brighton campus, the Applied Technology Center, the Public Safety Training Center, our virtual campus, and of course, our remarkable new downtown campus. 80% of these students will come from our shared county, including almost a quarter of this year's Monroe County High School graduates. This is why your investment in MCC is an investment in Monroe County. Together, we're building a stronger community and economy, one MCC Tribune at a time. I want to thank you in advance for supporting our community's college.
Thank you, Dr. Kress. We will now hold a public hearing on the approval of the Monroe Community College 2017-2018 operating budget.
Affidavits of publication and posting of the notice of the hearing in the Daily Record and Rochester Business Journal have been received and are on file in the clerk's office.
Is there anyone signed up to speak in regards to the public hearing on the MCC budget?
There is not.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in regards the public hearing on the MCC budget? There being none, I declare the public hearing closed.
Are there any speakers signed up to address either committee this evening?
There is not.
Is there anyone here who would like to address either committee at this time? Seeing none, I declare the public forum closed.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Members of the Recreation Education Committee, you will have the minutes from May 22nd, 2017 meeting before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified with any changes by the end of the day.
Members of the Ways and Means Committee, you have before you the minutes of the June 27th, 2017 meeting. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day.
Next item on the agenda is new business. Legislators, please note the asterisk in italicized print on your agenda for action by both committees. Madam Clerk, please read the item to be considered by both committees.
Referral 17-0207, approval of Monroe Community College's 2017-2018 operating budget.
Moved by Legislator Alcoffer, seconded by Legislator Marinetti. At this time, are there any questions from the members of the Recreation and Education Committee only? There are no questions. We will move to a vote. All those in favor from the Recreation Education Committee, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries.
And now from the Ways and Means Committee. The item is moved by Legislator Hebert and seconded by Legislator Carbone. From the Ways and Means Committee. At this time, are there any questions from the members of the Ways and Means Committee only? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I do have a few questions. If perhaps President Kress could come up and answer a few questions, if that's possible.
Thank you.
First off, Dr. Kress, congratulations on a decrease in the budget. That's always a good thing. We like to see that. Not something many municipalities are doing, so that's great work on behalf of you and your team. Also, a congratulations and the best of luck on your new downtown campus. I think tomorrow we might be going to tour that, and I look forward to that. I also want to personally thank you for all of the work you do on behalf of not only MCC, but the Finger Lakes region as a whole, and your commitment to economic development for our region. So thank you for that. I do have a couple questions in regards to the MCC budget, just a couple of items. As we all know, as students are able to find work and find jobs, enrollment drops in community colleges. So I'd like to know what is it that your team is doing to sort of retain students or to attract new students in that aspect through the chair.
Through the chair, oh, there's Carla. Through the chair, on a number of fronts. So let me take different fronts and sort of give you examples. So one of them I mentioned is emergency financial services. And so what we have found is that when students do walk away from MCC, and we ask them why they've gone, because we're talking about a student population where the average student who may not continue is in good academic standing. The average GPA is slightly less than 2.5. It's like a 2.43. But we do have about 28% of the students who don't continue at MCC have B averages or better. And that's of concern to us. And when we sit and we talk with them, it's an unexpected financial emergency. And when I say emergency, I'm not talking about thousands of dollars. I'm talking in some cases about $50. But $50 to the student sitting in front of me is like $5,000 to somebody else, or $500. So we've begun the program Dream Keepers, which provides microgrants. And what we found is that if you think about the students who might get a microgrant from Dream Keepers, they are at the most at risk that you would probably identify at an institution, because they're very much on the edge financially. They have a lot of obligations. Many of them have families. But somehow giving them a grant of $400 or less, the average grant is around $380, those students are able to be retained at the institution. We have a retention rate of about 80% for those students. So part of what we've been doing is to try to identify when students who seem to be in good academic standing are walking away, why is that happening, and is there something institutionally we can do to address that? So that's one slice. The other is, quite frankly, helping students to understand the relevance of their education. So I highlighted what we're doing in workforce, but it's true in university transfer programs as well. So last fall we implemented across MCC what we call the MCC Schools model, which connects every entering student, every single student at the college, to a pathway. We call them schools, and we have 6 schools. There'll soon be 7. One will be around technologies, applied technologies, and sort of engineering education. But so we have schools where now these students are connected, because when we, again, talk to students, why did you walk away from MCC? They just did not feel that they were engaged. They didn't feel that there was a point in what they were doing. And they will tell us the same about their education up to that point too. So as part of the schools, we identified the career pathways that are associated with eventual four-year degree majors. And we help students understand what is it going to take to get there, what will you earn, what are the openings, so that you can make an informed decision. And what we're starting to see, we're only in this for a year, but we're in early days, but what we've seen is that students are less likely to change programs already. We're able to connect them with a program that they believe in from the very beginning and help them maintain that. So that's another example. And then I would also talk about the number of students that we see because of our mission who are not college ready when they come to MCC. And they don't know that. You know, they walk across the stage at high school graduation and they get a diploma just like anyone else, and then they show up at MCC or any of the nation's 1,100 community colleges and they're told, you know, you really can't go into college level math, you really can't go into reading. And they're frustrated because they thought their college education would take 2 years, and now maybe it's 3. So we've been, over the past 2 years, accelerating what we call developmental education through a number of models. Some of them put students in college-level courses to begin with and then align those with extra assistance for the students. Others accelerate the developmental education so that a student might complete 2 levels in a semester, but that shortens the goal line, if you will. So all of those are really retention efforts to help students complete and to stay in the college.
Very good. Through you, Madam Chairwoman, the Dream Keepers program that you mentioned, I do have a question on that. Is that grant money that then students repay, or is that just they get it and it's, you know, written off kind of thing?
Sure. Through the chair, they used to come from donations through the MCC Foundation, and they're grants. They are not to be repaid. But let me explain a little bit about the structure. So let's say Anne comes in and she says, you know, the reason I haven't been able to get to class is because I got a flat tire. Turns out it can't be repaired. I don't have money for a tire. We know enough about our students to know that if I give Anne a check for $150 to buy a tire, that check could go a million different places before it ever gets to the tire, and the problem's not solved. So instead, what the program does is it actually writes the check to the place the student's getting her car repaired. So then the repair actually happens. But this is generous folks, donors in our community who really see the compelling stories of our students, many of whom, you know, in some cases are a semester away from graduating, but it's going to be that $150 that keeps them off track. I should also say we've done other things in the institution. We've even looked at our own threshold for when we allow students to re-enroll if they owe us money, recognizing that their lack of completion isn't going to benefit anyone, and quite frankly, we're not going to get that money if they can't complete and find a good job. So we're looking at our own data as well.
Very good. The Ladders Up initiative, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you said that that's been going on for about a year now. Is that correct?
Through the chair, no, that program just started.
Okay, excuse me. So so far, I mean, what type of feedback are you getting, and how is the program working?
Through the chair, we're getting good initial feedback at literally, I mean, we're very early days, I'm going to say early weeks into the program. But what's been striking to us is that we're pretty far along in meeting the deliverables that we promised to Imagine Monroe in terms of the funding of that program. And again, what it says to us is that there are a significant number of individuals in our community who want to be connected to the technical skill set that's required to find employment, but they haven't been able to fund it themselves. They're older, they're not going to qualify for basic financial aid, and they also haven't had anyone come in and say, you engage in this 6 months, this year, you will be directly connected to a job. And so recognize everything in Ladders Up. It's not, let's put you in this program and maybe you'll find work, but it is directly connected to work, and that seems very compelling for students.
Very good. Through the chair, I want to go back to in my first question in regards to retention of students, and you brought up the developmental courses. Does that have an effect on students' financial aid? Are they not able to apply for full financial aid because they have to, you know, go through courses that perhaps they should have gotten out of high school?
Through the chair, no, they're able to receive financial aid for those courses through the process of what we call imputed credit, but there is some aid that they would not be eligible for. The Excelsior Scholarship, for example, does not include developmental education.
Very good. Final question, and you had, again, going back to the importance of high school and being prepared for MCC. I know that there's a lot of dual credit courses, dual enrollment type thing. Is there plans to further grow the program? I know when I was in high school it was available, and since being out, there have been additional courses. Is that something that MCC is continuing to work with local school districts to grow?
Through the chair, absolutely. We have a number of programs related to dual enrollment or partnerships. For example, we're the lead college in the early college high school with the city school district, also with P-TECH. But we served over 4,000 students over the past year in high school dual enrollment. We scholarship students who would qualify for free and reduced lunch so that they don't face any cost associated with that dual enrollment. We continue to look at different and innovative ways that we could potentially offer dual enrollment as well. We know, and I know we'll have a discussion in August with a legislator, but we recognize that in some schools there may be only a couple students who want to take a dual enrollment class, and we're trying to figure out what's the mechanism we could use to serve those two students, even if it's not an entire class. We see that acceleration mechanism for students going into college. One is key to college affordability. If you could pick up a semester, or in some cases a full year, while you're still in high school, then that's really shaved a lot off your college costs. But we also see it as key to high school retention and graduation, but then also to college going, so that students do see themselves already as college students.
Great. Dr. Kress, thank you very much for answering the questions. I think MCC is one of our many gems here in Monroe County, and I condemn you for doing everything commend you, rather. We're not going to condemn you.
I was going to take it. It's okay.
Commend you. It's a good thing I caught that one. Commend you for everything that you've done and your team have done. It's really, you make us proud here, so keep up the good work.
Through the chair, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Hebert.
Chair, I just want to start by applauding all of the efforts of MCC, your staff, and everyone else associated with the college for the initiatives you have in providing job-specific, company-specific training. I think that's really critical for our populace to end up in jobs as opposed to hoping to end up in jobs. I also want to point out that I have two daughters who took the dual credit courses. One graduated a year early as a result, largely as a result. She took some overloads and stuff to get there. And my second daughter will be graduating a semester early because of the dual credit courses. So there is, in fact, great value to my pocketbook and many others because of that activity on your part. I do have a couple, three questions for you. You lauded, I want to laud you for the budget cut, but I want to make sure it's actually a cut in expenditures from the 2016-2017 actual expenditures, not what I would call a government cut in planned increases.
Through the chair, and my CFO can keep me honest, we actually went to every single one of the vice presidents, and they had what my CFO lovingly calls a target. And they had to actually bring in budgets that were below previous year's budgets.
That's what I thought you'd said, but thank you for clarifying that. Through the chair, you provided us a summary sheet, and you touted campus-wide energy management reduction of $700,000 for the past 5 years. Is that per year, or is that a sum total over the 5 years? Do you know?
Through the chair, I will look at my expert. Yes.
That's over the last 5 years.
So that's a cumulative total.
What happened was we had dropped utilities bills by about $2 million, and then in two years ago we had a spike up, and now we are back down by about $700,000.
Okay, thank you. Through the chair, one of the bullets here says the collaboration with regional colleges on shared purchasing and services. My question is there some limitation? Why is that not collaboration with a wider span or scope of government entities?
Through the chair, this is the CFO's, actually it's one of his babies, so I will turn it over to him.
Thank you. Through the chair. What we have is we formed a college, what we call a collaborative, where we have 22 colleges in the Rochester area. And we've come together to try to do a lot of purchases and of services as a collaboration. Mm-hmm. We have found that we save money with the expenses for insurance, mm-hmm. for cyber insurance. We've saved funds for, we did not participate in this one, but many of the other colleges did, for workers' comp. And we are now working on several other initiatives that will bring savings. One of the big ones that we actually participated in was with environmental health and safety. So this is, we meet 4 times a year. Our subcommittees meet almost on a monthly basis, and we are always evaluating things that we can do together. Now, your question about whether or not we should involve municipalities, we haven't matured the organization enough yet to be able to go beyond the things that we all understand as higher ed folks.
Okay. Thank you. Through the chair, it's indicated in, again, one of these bullets that the average annual, let me try again. The average annual financial aid award is $6,638, and the total cost of attendance mm-hmm. is $6,172. There's about $500 difference. Mm-hmm. What does a student do with that difference?
Through the chair, I could talk about this forever. So that's the award from TAP and Pell. Most of those students are also packaged loans by the federal government as the federal loan service provider. And they can either accept those loans or they can reject those loans. We're actually involved in a loan counseling pilot to try to get them to understand that they don't need to accept those loans, that with the actual aid they have, it covers their direct costs. What students do with that, they call it a refund. They can purchase things that have to do with coming to college. Essentially, there's what's called the total cost of attendance, TCA. That includes not just tuition and fees and books, but it also includes transportation. For some students, it includes childcare. It includes cost of living. So they use it for those aspects.
Thank you. Last question. You're asking, through the chair, you're asking this body to approve a $180 annual tuition increase. What % of the students at the college will be impacted by the proposed tuition increase? In other words, how many of them are actually going to have to pay the money out of pocket?
Through the chair, it will be significantly less than half of the students. And when I say that they'll have to pay some of the money, it's not even the full $4,280. I will just share as an experiment, because I was trying to remember, what did I pay when I went to college? Because I'm old. And when I started in college, I won't tell you what year it was, but you'll be able to figure it out by what I paid. My tuition was $575 for a full year. At a research university. Now, what I will tell you is the very next year, those tuition and fees went up 30% because they were underpriced. What we're trying to do is be very intentional and moderate in increasing that tuition so that people can plan for it. Today, $4,280 for a full year of high-quality higher education compared to the alternative is, from our perspective, certainly within reach of our student population.
Final comment through the chair. Mm-hmm. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Annie. Any other discussion? Oh, Legislator Cayley? I'm sorry. Legislator, yes? No one raised. Oh, Legislator Felder.
Dr. Kress, when we met in your office, you spoke of something about with the tuition, how because of the way it's structured, we're better off having a higher tuition than lower tuition. Can you explain that?
Through the chair, yes. One of the
through the chair, excuse me.
Yeah, sure. One of the challenges in New York State is that the state directs a significant amount of the funding that it would give to higher education through the tuition assistance program. And this is a program that is used both at public and private institutions. It's tuition dollars that go directly to the student, and the amount of those dollars that a student receives is dependent upon the tuition at the institution that they're going to, along with their income and other factors. But the main driver is really the tuition that they're being asked to pay. So one of the challenges challenges we have seen is that because of MCC's low tuition, we have effectively left dollars sitting in Albany. And the comparison that really drove this home for us is that Erie Community College, which has a much higher tuition but actually a lower enrollment, receives more money from TAP than MCC does. And it's because the state is coming in to cover more of those tuition dollars for students. TAP, much like Excelsior, is a first dollar tuition-only scholarship. So it doesn't go to, or yeah, it is a scholarship. So it doesn't go to anything else. It doesn't go to cost of living. It doesn't go to books. It doesn't go to fees. It has to only go to tuition. So when we increase our tuition, what we see is that many of our students will have that covered by TAP, and it actually allows the college to get more dollars from Albany that right now our sister institutions are receiving, but we are not.
Any other discussion? Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For you to President Press. A very good presentation. I dropped the mic. So seems to happen at this desk. It's an observation more than a question, but there is a question in here. I always have a problem when there is an advance in tuition. And I heard your message with regards to the state basically ponying up and giving more relief. But I can't help, I'm looking at the chart of local share as well. And would you give me the correct amount for when community colleges were started in New York State, what the state share, local share, and student revenue, what that breakdown was supposed to be?
Through the chair, yes. There was a formula that, as far as we can tell, held only in its first year and has been waived by the state every year since, that where 40% of the cost of the student's education would be paid for by the state, 33.3%, a third, would be paid for by students, and the remaining 26.7% would be funded by the sponsor or sponsors.
Thank you. And then through the chair, in this case, the sponsor would be the local share or the county government. Could you tell me then through the chair, when was the last time that we as a body raised our share?
Through the chair, 2 years.
2 years ago. Thank you. And then through the chair, last year it was flat?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I guess I look on us as being a little bit more part of the responsibility as well. We have issues here within our county that we need to step up and perhaps add to our share going forward because rightly so, President Kress has always pointed out the return on the dollar spent is greater than people imagine. So while it is very difficult for me to vote in the affirmative for this type of raise in tuition, I am willing to do it based on the state's attempt to make tuition free, because we also talked about that in your office, as well as all the programs that have been developed through MCC. I think that you're doing a stellar job in creating an environment that is wraparound for this county. But I will say that even though I'll vote for the affirmative, that I think that Monroe County needs to also add a little bit more skin to this game, and hopefully through the budget process that going forward we'll be able to come up to that formula just a little bit more so that we are not putting the onus on the community. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, we move to a vote. All those in the Ways and Means Committee, please signify by saying a vote of aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries.
Are there any other matters that come before the Recreation Education Committee? There being none, the July 25th, 2017 meeting of the Recreation Education Committee stands adjourned. Next meeting of the Recreation Education Committee will be held on Monday, August 28th, 2017 at 6 p.m.
Thank you. We'll give a couple minutes here for Recreation and Education to clear out, and for Pat, want to come up?
Clear out.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. and Means Committee. At this time, we have a presentation. I see Mr. Randy Shepard is here. He's from the Bonadillo Group. Mr. Shepard, welcome. Nice to see you, Randy. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you to the county for actually allowing us to kind of do the audit for you. I know you have many choices out there, and we appreciate the confidence in us as a firm. And I do want to thank Bob Franklin and his staff, as well as Tony Ferrosi in the Controller's Office, and everyone else actually throughout the county that helps us get the job done that we have to do, because we can't just do our work without assistance from that perspective. Just to kind of refresh in terms of what our role is, we audit your external financial statements. And these financial statements are used in many different ways. Your grant funders typically look at this information, your credit rating agencies, as well as banks to help assess financial viability and condition of the county. So they're very important in terms of what the use is. What we do is apply various procedures, such as substantive testing of detailed transactions, as well as testing of the controls associated with processing those transactions and entering those into the financial statements. Our work begins generally in the fall, November, December timeframe, and then we return in April and finish up in May in terms of the final field work. So it's a long process by which we go through that. And our report for the county is dated May 25th, 2017 for this year. And so what I'll tell you is that based on those tests and all the procedures we performed, we did issue what's called an unmodified or a clean audit opinion on the county's financial statements. That is the highest level of assurance that an audit firm can give. So that's actually obviously very important for you. And then I will just kind of go through a couple what we call recorded communications for you. One of which is accounting policies. So you are governed by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board in terms of your accounting practices. There was one new accounting standard this year related to tax abatement disclosures that required you to disclose, the magnitude and significance of abatements that are in place, either that were granted by you or somebody else. From that perspective, in your case, it would be the IDA, and that is disclosed in footnote 18 within your financial statement. So if you've looked at your CAFR, it is in there. There also are some significant estimates that are contained within a financial statement. Every set of financial statements has some element of estimation within them. That's just the nature of what happens. And the most significant estimates within the county's financial statements govern your other post-employment benefit obligations, so the cost of post-retiree health care cost. And that's based on actuarial data. So we look at the data that's provided to the actuary, and we also make sure that the assumptions they're using are appropriate given the industry, given the situation in the economy, et cetera, and those assumptions were fair and reasonable from our perspective. There also is an estimate related to uncollectible accounts, namely bankruptcies, tax certiorieries, et cetera, that is applied, and so we look at that and make sure that those are reasonable. There also is an estimate of depreciation expense. So as you know, you've got significant investments in infrastructure, facilities, equipment, et cetera, and we do assess and look at the estimates applied to those costs. And lastly, and Mr. Walther, last year, my partner presented this, there was a new standard for your net pension obligations, so your retiree costs with New York State. There is a piece of that you receive from the state system. They let you know what your component or your proportionate share of that cost is. And again, that's based on an actuarial assumption, and we've looked at those as well to make sure that they're reasonable. And then one other thing to point out is we work for the legislature, essentially, but we work with management to accomplish our objectives. So to the extent that we were not able to get what we needed from them to accomplish our objectives, we'd want to let you know that. But we are pleased to report, and as the beginning of the audit went very well. We did not have any difficulties encountered in performing the audit. So again, I think that's important to note for you. And at the same time, if there's any disagreements, whether it was related to an accounting matter or a transaction, if any of those were to come up during the audit process, we'd want to let you know that. But there were none of those items that came up. We had several discussions during the year about accounting things, which were very lively, and really what I feel accomplished a very good audit report and a very good product for the county at year end. And then we are in the process of completing the single audit and all the related reports. Those are due September 30th, but we should have those completed in the next 30 days for you, and that would pretty much accomplish all the reporting requirements that we have for the county at this time. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Shepherd, for all the work you put into and the Bonadio group you put in for the 2016 report for us, and we appreciate all the hard work it goes involved. I know, I just had auditors in my day job. I know how intense you are and how thorough, so thank you very much for what you've done for the county. Appreciate it. We'll now continue with the rest of the agenda for the Ways and Means. The next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk.
Referral 17-0212.
Moved by Legislator Hebert and seconded by Legislator Carbone. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0213.
Moved by Legislator Carbone and seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0214.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty and seconded by Legislator Rocco. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0215.
Moved by Legislator Rocco and seconded by Legislator Ansello. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Through you to the administration, we're obviously changing. I know in the past we've used Bonadio, so I don't want to say that too loud. Can we just have a clarification as to why we have decided to change firms this year, through the chair?
Through the chair, the existing contract expires at the end of August, so the county issued a request for a proposal through our standard procurement process, and we got several responses, and through the evaluation criteria, we selected EFPR Group.
Thank you. And through the chair, EFPR, have they done other work for the county?
Through the chair, they have done work for the health department and some minor audits in the past.
And through the chair, we're confident that they'll be able to fulfill the goals of this contract. Is that correct?
Yes, through the audit, they have experience with other counties doing similar work for transportation consultant agreements.
Thank you. Through the chair, do we currently have any consultant agreements that exceed the $300,000 limit?
Through the chair, yes, and on average, there are usually 3 to 5 agreements that exceed that limit that require the audit.
Thank you. Through the chair, will the legislature be notified when the consultant agreements exceed the $300,000 threshold?
Through the chair, we do not come back to the ledge to notify you which road projects are being considered for the audit. We do keep a listing of those, and they are available if you request it.
Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0216.
Moved by Legislator Ansello and seconded by Legislator Marionetti. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Through you to the administration, how is it that the New York State Department of Health arrived at the amount of $28,373?
Through the chair, it's simply what the state has offered to us in this one-time advance.
Thank you. Through the chair, would this funding cover any new or potential new hires to the department?
Through the chair, no. This funding will help to offset existing costs for salary and benefits.
Thank you. And through the chair, it says that the referral says not to exceed $28,000. Is there a chance that we could receive less funding, or are we pretty much guaranteed the $28,373?
Through the chair, my understanding is that we're going to get $28,373.
Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0217.
Moved by legislator Marionetti and seconded by legislator Hebert. Any discussion on this? Legislator Baroth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the Chair of the Administration, I know that in the prior committee meeting where this referral was discussed, that we are under obligation to require or to meet the religious and spiritual needs of our patients/residents. And my question is how do we make the services, how are the services made known to the residents/patients through the Chair?
Through the Chair, excuse me. Services are made known to the residents through a variety of ways. We have posted calendars throughout the building that not only highlight the religious services, but we also, make announcements regarding the religious services. We have monitors throughout the building that highlight different things that happen throughout the week. Their times for the religious services are on those. And perhaps the most effective way is that our masses and religious services are actually televised on an in-house television channel.
Thank you. And through the Chair of the Administration, am I correct to assume that we have at least some non-Catholic, non-Protestant, and non-Jewish patients or residents? Through the Chair?
We have a very small number of those, and we have not had anyone make any religious needs known to us. Patients do have spiritual leadership from their own private parishes in the community, people who visit them and so forth. Whenever we become aware that somebody has some spiritual needs, we do make arrangements for representatives to come in from the various faiths. But the number of people who we have who do not fall in under the auspices of one of those three religious groups that you named is minimal.
Thank you. Through the Chair of the Administration, I would point out that what you're describing is a very proactive approach for the Catholic, Protestant, and Jewish clients, and a reactive approach for those who do not fit those three categories. And while I acknowledge the number is likely very small, I would urge you to consider some sort of proactive approach for those non-Catholic, non-Protestant, and non-Jewish patients/residents. And that could simply be, saying if you have a religious or spiritual need that needs to be met, please let us know. We could assist you with that. That would just be my urging to you. I'm, of course, going to vote in favor of this referral, but I do note that, there's a difference between proactively providing these needs and reactively providing these needs. One puts the onus on the patients, and one does not.
Through the Chair, I would like to respond to your statement because it's very insightful, but I would like to make it known that every one of our residents, upon admission, is administered what we call a spiritual assessment. Their needs are made known at that time, and so we do take a proactive approach to try to make sure that all of the residents' spiritual needs are met.
I do appreciate that, and in fact, and that makes me a lot more comfortable with the process you're going through, and I should have known that you would have done, or your institution would be doing those sort of practices. My only follow-up to that would be is that, particularly for those patients who might be there for a long period of time, some sort of follow-up in years to come might be appropriate. But I don't want to belabor the point. Thank you so much for clarifying the services you do provide proactively for all patients.
And again, just to respond through the Chair, the spiritual assessment that we do is done actually on an annual basis, not just upon admission.
Thank you very much. These are great responses.
You can't beat it. Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the administration. Could you please tell me how many years we've had a contract with the Roman Catholic Diocese?
19.
And could you tell me when was the last time, through the Chair, that the contract has gone up?
Has gone what?
Gone, in other words, increased in price.
I couldn't tell you that, ma'am. The current contract was originally signed in 2012 with renewals. It's now expiring.
All right, thank you. That's good enough. And then through the Chair, we have a full-time priest at the hospital. When you say full-time,
he's not full-time, ma'am. He's actually part-time. The priest is there. We have full-time representation. In other words, between the priest, so we have a priest and a retired nun, who between the two of them are there 40 hours a week.
All right, thank you.
To provide pastoral services.
Thank you. It specifically states a full-time chaplain.
Pardon me?
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
I'm sorry, through the chair. It specifically states a full-time chaplain, which indicates one person. So I guess through the chair, it's a little bit nitpicky, but it talks about one person being there. And now we are hearing that it would be a sister of the church.
It's full-time chaplaincy services rather than one individual.
All right, thank you. And then when you say full-time, 40 hours a week, do they have through the chair, do they have an office at the hospital?
Yes, they do.
All right, thank you. And then I have to ask through the chair, the televised mass is once a week?
Yes, it is, Sunday morning.
Through the chair.
Thank you. And through the chair, the televised mass is not televised on site, it's through the cathedral?
Pardon me?
Through the chair, where is the televised mass taking place?
It takes place at our facility in our auditorium, and it is televised throughout the building. Any resident who has a television can see it.
Thank you. Through the chair, the mass is conducted within the site of MCH.
Through the chair, that's correct. It
Okay.
takes place in our main auditorium.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Thank you. Next item.
Referral 17-0218.
Moved by Legislator Hebert and seconded by Legislator Carbone. Any discussion on this? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the administration, I've read through the referral, but is it possible we could just have a better sort of overall explanation of what this pilot program is looking for, and if there's any preliminary data that can be shared on how this program has worked elsewhere?
Through the chair, there is a 10-core curriculum including navigating longer lives, the basics of aging mastery, exercise and you, sleep, healthy eating and hydration, financial fitness, medication management, advanced planning, healthy relationships, falls prevention, and community engagement. In addition, there's opportunity to apply for 15 elective classes, going into deeper detail, as well as communicating with doctor, managing Medicare, memory matters, things like that. As for the information on the evidence, there is 7,200 people that have participated in this nationwide to date with a 96% graduation rate. Graduation equates to attending 8 out of 10 classes.
Very good. Through the chair, the referral states that a lot of the older adults that will be taking part of this pilot program, are in community centers. Will there be some sort of outreach to those either not in community centers or not in nursing facilities of any sort?
Through the chair, this particular pilot is addressing folks that can participate at either one of the 3 multi-aging resource centers through the Y and Lifespan. Advertising will be done through Lifespan's email distribution lists as well as postings at area senior centers.
Thank you. And through the chair, is the Monroe County Office of Aging looking to potentially use some of these programs elsewhere moving forward?
Through the chair, that is the hope.
Thank you.
Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the administration. I did listen in on the Human Services Committee, and I'm a little bit confused as to where the sites are that this is going to be offered initially, since this is a pilot. Could you please identify those sites?
Through the chair, the 3 identified sites at this point in time are the Lifespan Wolk Senior Center at the downtown Lifespan Senior Center, the East Side Multi-Aging Resource Center at the Penfield Y, the West Side Multi-Aging Resource Center at the Elm Grove Y.
Thank you. And through the chair, obviously, it doesn't cost a membership, even at a senior level, to go into the lifespan office. However, at the Ys, even senior programs have membership requirements. Is that being waived in this program?
Through the chair, the Multi-Aging Resource Center has different membership requirements than the Y membership.
Thank you. Through the chair, the Y still will be requiring those participants there to have a membership at that Y.
Through the chair, that is my understanding.
Thank you. I'm a little bit concerned, if I make a statement on this through the chair, that we have senior centers that would function that do not cost our county residents to attend. Charles Settlement House comes to mind, and they have a regular program there. I am concerned that we are using this pilot in a facility that charges membership, albeit a lesser membership cost because they are seniors. It's still a cost to the seniors, and therefore it does not really cover, in my terms, the population that needs to be covered with this. And I'm concerned. And I will be voting in the negative on this one, just because we are dealing with a nonprofit, but it's a nonprofit that charges a membership. And I think that this is state money coming through, and it should come through agencies that do not charge memberships, whatever the level. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? One opposed. Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0219.
Moved by Legislator Carbone and seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Any discussion on this? Legislator Barak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the Chair of the Administration, did anyone else respond to the RFP for this referral?
Through the chair, there were 2 other respondents.
Really? Through the Chair of the Administration, could you...
We're always so surprised.
Sorry. But through the Chair of the Administration, I'd appreciate knowing who the other 2 respondents were.
Through the chair, the other 2 respondents were Absolute Auctions and Realty and Auctions International.
Thank you. Through the Chair of the Administration, are either one of those located locally?
Through the chair, no.
Thank you. Through the Chair of the Administration, a different question. Do county departments have to utilize the service in order to sell surplus equipment, or can they sell surplus equipment through another venue if they had a better route? Through the chair.
Through the chair, this is the preferred method of disposing of surplus property. There are other methods, and those are addressed on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you. And in the case of those cases where the other methods are utilized, in those cases, is it correct to say then that the successful respondent Titsworth will not receive the 9% net proceeds when not involved in the sale of that surplus equipment through the chair?
Through the chair, that would be correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0221.
Moved by Legislator Delahanty and seconded by Legislator Rocco. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0222.
Moved by Legislator Rocco and seconded by Legislator Ansello. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. Administration, will we have the environmental review completed before the meeting of the full ledge?
Through the chair, yes, it will.
Thank you. And through the Chair of the Administration, is this property, do we know what this property is going to be used for after the sale?
Through the chair, no, we do not.
So through the Chair of the Administration, we don't know if it's going to become a part of Hafner Park then?
Oh. I'm I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry, I was on the wrong referral. Yes, it will become part of Hafner Park.
Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0223.
Moved by legislator Ansel and second by legislator Marionetti. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0225.
Moved by legislator Marionetti and seconded by legislator Hebert. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0226.
Moved by legislator Hebert and seconded by legislator Carbone. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 17-0227.
Moved by legislator Carbone and seconded by legislator Delahanty. And I'd like to, I think turn this over to amendment. The administration would like to add something to this, amend this, I believe?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. The referral before you has an incorrect property ID number in it, and I would ask and seek that this committee make the recommendation to full legislature to amend the referral to change the number from 216.07-2-58 to 216-022-1. I'll repeat this clear. To change it to 216-02 or .02 -1-13. I'll repeat one more time.
Good, thank you.
Third time is the charm, I hope. I'm asking for the committee to recommend that the property tax ID be changed to 216-02. I did it again. 216.02-1-13.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Napier. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Through the administration, can you tell us what the issue with the landfill located at the Menden properties is?
Through the chair, New York State DEC is in the process of doing a closure. It's a C&D landfill that they've been working on closing, for several years. They're asking, they hope to be finished later this year.
Thank you. And through the chair, what is the title issue on the Chi-Li property?
Through you, Madam Chair, there's a failure to properly convey from a deceased party some years ago, many transfers ago, and the title company will not insure over it until it's resolved. So an action will have to be taken to quiet title before the property can be sold.
Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? Seeing none, the July 25th meeting of the Ways and Means is adjourned. The next meeting of the Ways and Means will be Tuesday, August 29th at 6 p.m. Thank you. Have a very nice evening.